This library will help you reduce hallucinations and make your AI agents way more accurate. And I wanted to share it with you guys today. I stumbled upon this post by Andrew NG, which for those of you who don't know is kind of an AI evangelist. He's one of the founders of Coursera, I believe. And he invests in many AI startups. And he's, as I said, he's an evangelist. And I stumbled upon this tweet that he basically shares a new open CLI tool that he uploaded to GitHub. And it's based on what we've seen with OpenClaw and Moldbook, which basically are social platforms for agents. So this is actually a GitHub repository that allows agents to be connected to all the documentations of various tools and also keep on updating and self-improving the way that they interact with these tools via this documentation. So this is the GitHub repository. These are all the skills, or it's not exactly the skills, but these are all the packages with all the API endpoints and the instructions. As you can see over here, we have Celery, we have Stripe, I saw Asana, we have DuckDuckGo, and not DuckDuckGo, Docklink, Discord, etc., etc. Now let me give you a bit more context about what exactly it is. So first of all, stepping back, we all know that coding agents write code against APIs that often no longer exist or never did. They just hallucinate. So this obviously isn't so beneficial. Regardless of the hallucinations, sometimes they also suffer from amnesia. So every session starts from zero. Hard-won lessons about quirks, gotchas, and workarounds get lost between the sessions. And there is also a lot of noise in the LLMs, or also a lot of noise online in general. So a lot of it isn't accurate. And the root cause is agents have no reliable versioned agent readable docs and no way to accumulate knowledge over time. And this is what Context Hub is designed to fix. So first of all, better docs in, and as a derivative, smarter agents out. So how does it work? Basically, in opposing to copying and pasting the docs into the prompt, these agents run a CLI command. Agent runs, for example, chub get OpenAI chat, and they get curated version markdown, because all the markdown is over here. You saw Docker, Fast API, GitHub, etc. Now, there are few commands such as searching, getting documentation, annotating, and providing feedback. I will elaborate about each one of these in a moment. Before I do, we must make a comparison to Context 7, which so far has been like the holy grail of updated context in terms of the most updated resource for documentation. And let's cover the differences. So Context Hub is a CLI tool that the agent runs directly. It has curated human-reviewed markdown. It has local annotations that persist across sessions. It is community-driven. It's an open repo, and it allows you to only fetch what you need, and you also have a capability to add feedback loop or feedbacks to the doc authors. On the other hand, Context 7, which is great, I have nothing bad to say about Context 7, is an MCP server that you can connect with your Cloud Code or ID or whatever. It auto-fetches the NPM or version sources. It resolves the version conflicts automatically. And it works inside all the coding agents. It has, at the moment, a broader library coverage, but it is an MCP. It has no CLI. And the main weaknesses is, first of all, it has no annotation or a learning layer. If you're using Node.js 19, it just connects to the documentation of Node.js 19 and looks it up and compares between what you wrote and what is the current documentation guide, and fixes your code based on this. And basically, there are complementary tools. Context Hub is very, very new, but I believe that as time goes by, we are going to switch to using it more heavily. Now, a few important features that I want to discuss in regards to Context Hub is, first of all, the self-improving loop. Context Hub is the only docs tool where agents get smarter over time, not just better informed. And how does this work? So basically, there are annotations that are attached as notes to the docs that auto-appear on every feature request from Context Hub, a C-Hub. So basically, I will show in a moment an example, but let's assume that you use Stripe CLI via Context Hub, and after going back and forth, it didn't work. Eventually, you realize, okay, this endpoint only receives strings with a certain type. So you can add this as an annotation, and it will be saved in your GitHub or locally. And then next time you will need to use this endpoint, you already have this data, this learning, which is very valuable. Simple, yet elegant and smart. So session to session memory, agents write type needs raw or body for webhook verification. Next session is going to know it. And we also have an up-down feedback mechanism that flows to the doc authors who update content based on real agent usage. So here's another example. Basically, C-Hub annotates type API. You're adding this annotation. Needs raw body for webhook verification. Next session, that note appears automatically with the docs. Also, everything is inspectable and open because, as you saw, everything is in Markdown and it's in a public GitHub repository, so you can read exactly what your agent reads. The benefit here is, as an example, a Stripe engineer can submit a PR fixing their own API docs. That fix benefits every agent that are going to use C-Hub globally. So open means trustable and improvable. Also, we have another element, which is the incremental fetch. Basically, what does this mean is the docs reference multiple files, and Context Hub lets you fetch only what you need. So you can file only a certain flag, and this just makes you less contamination or less waste and noise in your context window, because you only take what you need. While Context 7 returns the full relevant doc chunk, C-Hub gives the agent the fine-grained control over what enters the context. Second, library coverage. So I discussed this at the moment. This is a very new project. I think that libraries are being added pretty fast, but still there are obviously Context 7 has way more context or documentations, but I believe this will go very fast. This is why I wanted to share this with you. Now, when to use which? Honest guide. So use Context Hub when you want agents to accumulate project-specific knowledge, when you are working with APIs that have confusing edge cases, when you care about inspecting exactly what your agent reads, when you are building workflows with skill patterns, and when you want to contribute back to the community. And I believe that the use cases will only become more and more prevalent, and Context Hub might be a very, very valuable project in the upcoming future. While Context 7 is an MCP tool, so it's already widely adopted. So when you need a broad library coverage, immediately use it. If version-aware docs matters, it might make sense to use it as well. If you prefer zero setup over fine-grained control, although over here eventually it's going to be the agent doing all the fine graining and fine tuning, so it's not as if it's going to require a lot of effort on your end. So the best setup at the moment is Context 7 for breadth and C-Hub for depth. Although I believe that in the very near future, I will move completely away from Context 7 to Context Hub, but let's see. Okay, so summarize this very quick video. Context Hub is a CLI for agent. Search, fetch, annotate, and provide feedback. The annotation loop is the killer feature that Context 7, which is currently the golden standard, doesn't have. Content is open markdown, inspectable, contributable, and trustable. And basically at the moment, I recommend using both, but definitely give C-Hub a go and see if it is valuable for you. I believe it will be valuable. And I guess that's pretty much it for today, guys. Obviously, if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to my newsletter yet, check out nodefluff.online for more content related to AI agents and automations. And until next time, keep on automating.